Today, technology is as essential to education as pencil and paper once were. Back in the day, computer programming was an elective you could take in high school. But our kids are growing up in the digital age. When kids have access to the right tools, they're able to master the skills they need for success at school today and in life tomorrow. That's why it's important for you to stay ahead of the game. So this morning, we've brought in a couple of education and technology experts from Dell Incorporated. We have Snow White and Adam Gary. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for being here.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Now, you both spent a lot of time in the classroom, lots of years. And tell me your experience in terms of how you've seen things change in the classroom in the past, let's say, 10 to 15 years?
Sure. Yeah, it's really the learning environments have changed. The teaching and learning is pretty similar, but when you look at the environment, when I was teaching the overhead projector, I couldn't live without the overhead projector. That was my big technology device. But now when you walk into the classrooms, you see devices like netbooks and student response systems where kids can answer a question immediately, and the teacher gets that information and doesn't have to grade the papers at night. They may have their own computer, document cameras. There's all kinds of different technology devices in the classroom. We used to call them libraries. Now they're called digital media centers. So there's lots of changes in the last 10 to 15 years.
And the changes, I see them every day, even with my kids, you know, the Googling, and they're not on Facebook yet, but I know a lot of kids that are on Facebook. It's tremendous, Adam. And how has, in your opinion, this changed the way kids interact with each other?
Well, so, you know, it started out, and us old people, we use email, right? And, you know,
us old people,
mature, yes. They don't, kids, you know, they communicate and collaborate differently. And what that means is that they want instant all the time.
They do, like this.
Right, so let's just take some statistics here. 94% of them have a cell phone, and they have that cell phone to obviously communicate and collaborate quickly, and most of it's not calling, right? 56% of them have some sort of MP3 player, and that MP3 player gives them lots of different functionality. 55% of them are on some sort of social network like Facebook or some child-friendly social networks as well. And then 59% of this iGeneration, they're creating videos, they're creating artwork, they're sharing on the web. And a big part of this is that they now have the ability to produce and share, which is really important. It's
incredible. And with the explosion of information they have right there, in your opinion, as a former teacher, how has that changed learning?
Dramatically. So just speaking of information, there's two things we can't ignore. The information's increasing at greater speeds, and there's a lot more of it. Now, two things that are decreasing is less barriers to it, so it's easier to get the information. Remember when we go to the library to check out a book, and if it wasn't there, we'd have to change topics.
Oh, absolutely, or find another library.
Find another library. So it's no longer the case, but it's also being less vetted, too. Let's think about Wikipedia. 1 in 200 page views are going to Wikipedia. Now, anyone can post that information. There's people filtering it, but it's a publish filter type society now. So information is brought up there on its own, and then someone has to come back and filter later on. But then Google, thinking about Google, 235 million searches a day. YouTube, 24 hours of content's uploaded every minute. So there's all kinds of information up there. Something to make sure that we look out for is not all that information is credible.
Correct.
So digital literacy is very big with in our schools, and also as a parent is making sure that our kids understand when I do get that content, how to make sure that it's accurate.
Absolutely. And there's no denying that being educated with the latest and greatest technologies is really important, even for the future in terms of the job market, isn't it, Adam?
Absolutely. So when we look at the job market, what we see now is that, you know, jobs have changed, and those jobs that can be automated or done by the computer, right, or done for a lot cheaper, are now going overseas, right? So what's left here is more of a services economy. If you take a couple of months ago, the USA Today did an article, and they said that the auto industry is now predicting a year from now that they will not have enough workers to fill the jobs. Really? So imagine that, the auto industry, right?
Where they just laid off
all those people.
Right.
And if you read deeper in the article, you find out it's because they need folks who can think critically, who can solve problems, who can communicate and collaborate and work in teams, and can work on technology that's very different than they used to have in the auto industry. So it really puts a lens on this whole notion of what we mean by career and college ready when kids graduate high school. And so we have to start thinking about what are those skills and how does technology play a role in helping kids master those skills.
Now, we have just touched the surface here in just the last few minutes, so stay right there, because when we come back, we have to take a quick break, but stay tuned, because when we come back, we're actually going to show you the latest and greatest technologies coming out for your children and what parents can do to monitor and help their children's education through technology. So much more to come. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. We've been talking with Adam and Snow from Dell about education and the advancement of technology in the classroom. And before the break, just all the information available to the children. It's amazing to me. Snow, we've touched the surface, really, if you think about it. But with all the information there, what does it mean for our children's future?
Yeah, so it allows them to look at our content differently. The technology has enabled easy access to the content, but now they can actually create, problem solve, communicate with this information, where before, when we would get a report on, we had to read a book, we would automatically do a book report. Well, now kids are creating things like mashups because they're creating content from different sources. So they're able to really expand on the problem solving, critical thinking, communication, collaboration skills that a lot of times we didn't see when we were growing up.
No doubt. And Adam, what can we do to make sure that our kids are getting what they need before they head off to school?
Well, one thing is we need to get involved and be educated on what we mean when we talk about transforming learning from a teacher-centered to a student-centered environment.
Okay.
Because most of us, when we think of our education or we think of the education system, we base it on our own education. And there's no denying it. Kids just learn differently today.
They do. They do.
They have access to lots of different tools and information that we just didn't have access to.
Their brains are just working so differently than when we were younger. No doubt about that.
And so we need parents to get more educated on what a different education system would look like, and then start asking questions at their school about how are we doing things different here than, say, 100 years ago or 50 years ago or even 10 years ago.
Yeah. Just as little as 10 years ago. You know, we spoke to the executive director of technology for Hall County Schools in Georgia to talk about how this new technology has benefited their schools. And it's really interesting what he had to say. I'd like you guys to listen. Let's take a look.
Today's students are 21st century learners, and that is such an exciting place to be. And the opportunities that are available to our students with the resources of the world, and allowing our students to have a very individualized education that is very authentic, that is very rigorous, and allows our students to not only take in and regurgitate information, but to apply the information and to manipulate it and collaborate with people all around the world is phenomenal. If I were a parent and my child's school was not using technology, I would go and speak with the principal and the teacher and have the conversation that my child, our students, are not competing against students from our neighborhood, our state, or our nation. The competition for future jobs and our economic superiority is in competition with students from around the world. And we must have our students engaged in critical thinking, in creativity, in collaboration, in taking information and manipulating it so that they can learn new information and create new knowledge from this. It is really going to be one of the downfalls of our nation if we do not allow our students and expect our schools to bring and to assimilate all the information from the world into the instructional objectives of the school. Parents need to work with these schools always, whether it be about technological advances or every aspect of the child's education. What I would want to see for my child, and what most parents want to see for their child, is that they are not sitting behind a computer doing rote work, but that they are working with their teacher toward instructional objectives. So if a school does not have this as a facet of their curriculum, I would encourage parents to sit down with the teacher and with the principal and ask the question, what are we doing to prepare our students for the 21st century? Hall County Schools, and working with our partners at Dell, we are excited in the direction that we are heading. We understand that our students are 21st century digital citizens and that the world is open to them. It's our responsibility to make sure that we create a rigorous, relevant learning environment where students have access to all the tools and the aspects of education that they need, so that we can hone the education to the individual student's passions, the individual student's learning styles, so that every student is getting a very rigorous, very rich, very individualized instruction. And through our partnership with Dell, we are able to work with our teachers in designing learning environments that allow students to create their new knowledge based upon their passions.
It's just fascinating. Now, you're a dad, Adam. You're a soon-to-be mom.
Correct. Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I have children. What can parents do at home, Snow, to really help their kids?
So it's really important to be a part of their homework or their assignments and really collaborate with them. I understand a lot of us as parents are intimidated that the kids adapt to the technology so quickly. They just jump right on it. They're not.
They just get it.
There's no fear.
I always say these little neurons in there just go click, click, click.
Exactly.
And I'm just trying to process it.
It's what they absorb. It's what they like to do. But let them show you what they're working on. What websites are they going to? What kind of homework are they encountering or being assigned to them? And there's websites out there now. You know, for me, when she gets older and she brings me the algebra work, I'm not sure I'm going to remember all those equations when I was in school. So there's sites like Wolfram Alpha that you can actually go to and type in the equation. It'll give you the answers, show you how to work it out. And that's a great learning experience that a parent could take with a child and say, look, here's the equation. This is how you work it out. Google has some great sites out there. The Google Squared. Microsoft has some learning suites. So there's a lot of great resources out there that if you are scared, it's okay.
Right.
Just work with your kids, collaborate and communicate with them.
And learn with them together.
And learn with them. And yeah, you'll be fine.
I could use that too. Now, Dell's coming out with some great stuff. How is Dell helping out here, Adam?
Well, the one thing that Snow and I are most proud of is the fact that Dell has a whole professional learning organization that really was created to help teachers use all this great stuff to impact and transform learning. So that's one thing that we're doing, and we've been doing it for many years, but we've really changed that. But from the product standpoint, we have launched our 2110, which is a netbook. And you know, this is purpose-built for education. So the idea here is it's rugged. It allows for the teacher to know when kids have access, but above all, it provides access.
Wow.
So that kids can get information whenever they need it, wherever they need it.
That's excellent. And very lightweight too, which is a great asset.
We're just releasing the Dell Streak,
Okay.
and this is a tablet-based device that's 5 inches, but it will allow kids to actually, once again, access information, but it has a camera on it, and, you know, kind of imagine kids going on a field trip and walking around with this device and just kind of hovering over things and learning about them, taking video, taking pictures, bringing it back, creating a product about their day, which obviously would be showing mastery of some sort of learning outcome.
So they could just take a picture of anything or just hold it up and it would give them all the information they need to know about that?
That's right. There's apps that will allow them to do that.
That's excellent. Great stuff. I got to tell you, I am fascinated by this. It's never ending. It's constant, but I think it's great for the children in terms of using it the right way.
Correct.
For learning.
Absolutely.
And for lots of information. The fun part, maybe once in a while.
That's right.
Thank you so much, you guys.
Thank you.
Great information.
Thank you.
Really appreciate your time. And for our viewers at home, to find out more about the technological advances for your kids' education in the classroom, visit Dell.com/K12. And to see about great technologies for your student to use at home, visit Dell.com/back to school.